Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is January the 4th, 2026. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Hopefully you had a good Sunday. Hopefully it's been a fun day. As for me, it's been good. It's been a solid day. I will say last night wasn't too interesting. It was a pretty cozy day, or a cozy night, I should say. I did have a hankering for some cheeseburgers, and I guess it was cheeseburger. I thought initially I just wanted the one burger, but it turns out no, I had like full blown burger fever. I don't know. I just was hungry, and it's my cheat night scenario. I can eat what I want to eat. So yeah, let's fucking do it. Let's fucking go. So I go to Five Guys, and I get the bacon cheeseburger with all kinds of trimmings. I won't bore you with all of that. But, I get that with the Cajun fries. I sit down, have some peanuts, my weight comes out really quick. So I was like, awesome, love that. And I proceed to just smash down. And, I'm eating it. It's all good. Everything's hitting. Everything's coming together. And I start realizing, though, I'm like, man, are they not making the burgers as big as they used to? Because I think I'm still hungry. And I don't know. I mean, by all means, sound off in the comments. Hit me up if I am right on that assumption, and maybe that they're finding a way to like shrink the burgers and make them look the same. Or it's just like, no, Isaiah, you're just being a big piggy. I think it's the latter, most likely. So yeah, I got through all my meal. It was good, yummy, love it. But as I'm heading out, I'm like, I want more burgers. And so I'm just literally just burger storming. I'm just like, what would be like a nice little cheap burger that I would want? Maybe not tonight, but like someday in the near future, maybe this, maybe that. And I kind of already knew what I wanted because I had previously been scheming, like this is maybe like a week or so ago. Like, I'd really like a Whopper. I just like I love the taste of a Whopper. I want one. And I was like, okay, well, let's make a compromise. Let's get 2 Whopper Juniors. How's that sound? And I was like, okay, yeah, that's good. But I don't want Burger King fries. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. That's valid. Whatever. Let's get McDonald's fries. And I was like, okay. So I'm just making a whole night of this, I guess. This is what I've chose to do with my Saturday night. And, I go to Burger King, pick up the Whopper Juniors. I go to McDonald's and I pick up the fries. And while I'm at the McDonald's drive-thru, I'm like, you know what? While you're here, could get dessert. Why not? And so I'm like, yeah. Let's get a large chocolate shake. And I brought that home. I will say the fries are cold. Love that. Classic McDonald's. But everything was more or less hitting from that. So, I mean, I'll take it. And for the rest of the short-lived night, I was just like, all right, yeah, we're chilling. We're relaxing. And then I just kind of knew that, like, oh, my stomach hurts so much, I want to lay down. I want to go to bed. And so that's more or less what I did with my hurt tummy. So, I mean, more or less very much a classic Saturday night, only I just did it by myself and with less alcohol, I guess. But same, like, food hangover scenario. So I love that for me. We wake up feeling a bit better, Sunday morning, and I proceed to go do the groceries. Groceries went well, no problems, no hiccups, no hitches. I will say, starting off the year, might have been my smallest grocery bill, coming in at, I think, around $90. And there was a couple of things, like, I kind of went weird. Sometimes I have these weird hoard moments where I'm like, I can't quite remember what I have, what I need, so I might overbuy. Or like they don't have a thing that I'm looking for, so I compensate and buy something else instead of just like going to a different store or something like that, and then inevitably having to go to a store anyway later in the week or even in that day. So these are things that can kind of happen. I don't know why I do these things, but that's just how I'm wired. So in this situation, I wanted to get the little cuties, the little, little oranges, and they didn't have them in the count that I wanted. And I was like, so I don't want to get too big of a bag. And then I didn't want to get another kind of orange, at least the ones that they had available. So I was like, what should I do? And I already had apples, so I was good there. So I was like, I'll get some bananas. So I got some bananas. And knowing though I still do have oranges, so I'm kind of like freaking out over nothing. Like I have like enough oranges to get through like half the week. So I didn't have to buy either of these things, and now all of these things are in my refrigerator, right? Anyway, I'm saying all this to say that I bought, and then I got some like chips that I kind of didn't need, but I'm like, what if I go crazy? What if I go chip crazy and I eat all my chippies? I'm gonna want to make sure I keep that supply going. I'm always like this, right? So, needless to say, I think I spent an extra $5-10 I didn't need to spend, but I also think another reason I came in low is because my strange eating habits lately have made it that like sometimes I just wind up being like, oh, I don't need to buy chicken. I still have chicken from like last week that I have set up that's like froze or whatever. So we're good. And I'm like, oh, okay, well then I don't need to buy chicken. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice in some ways, but so it goes. Anyway, grocery run went well. We come home, drop off the groceries, go to the gym. Gym went well. It was a very classic heavy lifting Sunday for me. I was worried though because my ankle, it's just still an ongoing nagging injury. But my arm that I've been talking about, throughout the week or so has been better. It seems to be pretty fully recovered. So I felt good to do pretty much all my arm lifts, stuff like that. So we did like pretty much the full heavy regimen, which I liked. That went well. Also, cardio went well. That was maybe my main concern, but and I'm very thankful for this about my body, is that like I can go through most of the day just like, ow, this hurts. Ow, I'm not feeling good. I'm in pain. Like, this is unfortunate. But like push come to shove, I get into the gym. Usually by the time I'm at it, I'm doing the work, my body shows up, and I like that. Like, overall, I was able to move, and, like, my ankle didn't give out or any weird moments, But let it be when I'm cooking some chicken or something, that's when it does it. You know what I'm saying? It will go out at times, but overall, when I really need it to and lock it in, we're good. So I do like that. I appreciate it about myself. So I'm giving myself a pat on the back. Anyway, like I said, got everything done at the gym that I like to, the usual. Y'all know how that goes. So gym sesh, we came home. I lined up all the news, right? I got all the news set up, post stretch and snack and everything. And I told myself, okay, I'm moving very well for a Sunday. Normally we'd be further down, in the day, because I've got to get my hangover nap in or whatever. So I'm like, let's just go ahead and take a nap now. Let's rest so I can, hit it the way I want, hopefully, knock on wood. And so that's what I did. I took a little fat nap and woke up. I was like, what day is it? Like, where are we? What? Oh, gosh. Luckily it was still Sunday. And, here we are, ready to yap about some news. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into some news. Whew. Ooh. All right. Our first story comes from CNN. Gunmen raid village in northern Nigeria, killing at least 30 people and abducting others. At least 30 villagers have been killed while several others were abducted by gunmen who raided a village in northern Nigeria's Niger state, police said Sunday, the latest in a cycle of deadly violence in the conflict-hit region. The gunmen stormed the Kasuwan Daji village in Niger State's Borgu local government area on Saturday evening and opened fire on residents. They also razed down the local market and several houses. Niger State Police spokesman Waisu Abiodun said in a statement. At least 2 residents put the death toll at 37 and said it could be much higher as some people remain missing as of Sunday. Residents also said security forces are yet to arrive in the area, contradicting the police's claim that they have deployed officers to search for those kidnapped. Reverend Fr. Stefan Kaibarat, spokesman for the Catholic Church of Contagora Diocese, where the attack happened, told local media that the gunman killed more than 40 people and that some of those abducted were children. The gunman had been lurking around nearby communities for about a week before the attack, according to a resident who asked not to be named for fear of his safety. Now survivors are too afraid. Oh, sorry, the ads kind of hit. Are too afraid to go recover the bodies. Let's see. Such attacks are common in Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, where dozens of rogue gangs seeking control often target remote communities with limited security and government presence. Saturday's attack in Kasuwan Daji village happened near the Papari community, where more than 300 children and their teachers were kidnapped from a Catholic school in November. And that was the story we had covered before. So yeah, I mean, obviously, condolences to people who lost their lives. The people who were abducted in this, children who were abducted in this situation. Obviously, if I get any more updates on this story, like the previous one, we'd try to cover them. I know that there are some like push and pulls though that I miss, or some updates that I miss in terms of like, some people get out, some people escape. Sometimes they do make some kind of deal that they don't necessarily establish as like ransom getting paid or anything like that. But next thing you know, there are some people who are released and make it home. That's always good. That's always well and good. But it sucks that this is like an ongoing cycle. Also, the way that they describe that too, of like, you have residents like seeing, these people, through, in the coming weeks or days, weeks, kind of lurking outside of the village, around the village, and then next thing you know, they make some attack. Like, that would just be, that's a horror movie, man. Like, that's just so scary, so frightening. So I even imagining, it's hard to fathom. So, obviously condolences, and I will definitely be coming back to this region with any more updates I find. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to our next story from The Guardian. Left-wing militants claim responsibility for arson attack on Berlin power grid. German left-wing militants protesting over the climate crisis and AI have claimed responsibility for an arson attack that cut power to tens of thousands of households in Berlin. The fire that broke out on a bridge across the Teltow Canal in the southwest of the capital early on Saturday could deprive up to 35,000 homes and 1,900 businesses, of electricity, and in many cases heat, until January 8th, the grid company Stromnetz Berlin said. As state security authorities opened an investigation into the cause of the blaze near the Lichterfeld heat and power station that damaged several high voltage cables, the Vulcan Group, I think it's Vulcan Group or Volcano Group, said it had deliberately targeted some of the city's wealthiest districts. In a 2,500-word pamphlet seen by The Guardian, which a police spokesperson called credible, the group said it aimed to cut the juice to the ruling class. It condemned a greed for energy produced by high-emission fossil fuels, calling the attack action in the public interest and an act of self-defense and international solidarity with all those who protect the earth and life. In the message, which included details about the fire, Vulcan Group said that data centers used for AI were exacerbating the problem of climate-damaging energy consumption while creating dangers to society. We are contributing to our own surveillance, and it is comprehensive. The tech corporations are in the hands of men with power which we give them, the group said. One day we will simply sit before bright screens or dead machines while dying ourselves of thirst and hunger. The group said it wished to apologize to the less well off who had been affected by the power cut, but said its sympathy was limited for the many villa owners now in the dark. The area affected by the power cut includes many elderly care homes and hospitals, as well as high-rise buildings with residents who are reliant on elevators that are now out of order. Berlin received moderate snowfall at the weekend, and nighttime temperatures plunged well below freezing. Berlin's mayor, Kai Wegner, said he was convinced the mass blackout had a political motive, while security experts said it bore the hallmarks of previous far-left attacks. I do love that. Like, them far-lefts, they just have the way about them. You know what I mean? When they just do their operations, we generally know it's on the left. And you could say that, but then I guess then what are we saying? Like, if it's hooliganism, then we're just like, well, that wasn't the left that did that. That probably wasn't. They just, everybody got a little rowdy, and he's like, yeah, let's just start smashing shit. Like, is that kind of the sweeping stereotypes that we are pointing at here? I don't know. I just think it's always funny to kind of do that, because both can happen on both sides. It can be organized, it can be loose, like, but they're like, nah, it's just got all the markings of, a leftist. Let's see here. With mobile networks down, police used loudspeakers attached to their vehicles to inform the public as they assisted people in need of care. Several regional commuter lines were interrupted, and many pupils who were to return to school on Monday may see their holiday extended well into the week. Let's see here. Was there really anything else I really wanted to pull? No, not really. I guess I can kind of leave my 2 cents as we're going out the door to the next story. Look, I get it. I get where, this Vulcan group's head's at. I understand. And I agree. Like, I think these data centers, I think all this AI shit, yes, it's bullshit. And it's only making people at the very top money and literally making no one else any money. We've talked about this plenty in 2025, 2024, whatever. I'm sure we're going to keep fucking talking about it. But do I think this is the way to go? Do I think this is a useful means of attacking the problem? No, I don't, dude. And it's like, okay, well, you got to do something. You got to do some kind of escalation to make, some kind of change. But what change are you making here? And it's like, how much are you upsetting the status quo? It doesn't seem like much. It seems like you're doing something that's probably going to affect some people who are, impoverished, who are going through it already, who are, elderly and need assistance. That's going to be a much easier, story to cover than how much, you've affected the upper class here, the 1% here. Like, so what are we really accomplishing? It just doesn't seem like you're doing anything here. It's just a lot of bluster, and, you get to set a narrative, and that's cool, and that's neat, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm definitely not saying this shit's right, dog. So, like, what's the point? Who are you getting on side? Because you're definitely not turning any kind of tide with doing something like this. Like, in that regard, yet again, this is no different than me when you see people on the right in, like, in the domestic sense of saying, like, hey, and I'm thinking in, like, the U.S. shit, some of the stuff we've covered previously, where it's like, hey, let's take down these transformers. That's the plan we're going to try to go for here. We're going to try to shoot them up, blow them up, whatever, and that's going to destabilize stuff, and then we're going to have, like, a civil war, and then we're going to have a big old revolution. It's like, dog, you're going to try to do something that's going to, one, at the very bare minimum, fuck up people's whole night. Into the next week, like, especially when we're talking in the middle of winter, you're forcing this really bad situation where, like, bad things could happen, but probably you're not going to get your fucking dark, twisted, beautiful nightmare fantasy. You know what I mean? And in this way, too, where, like, once again, you can spout all this V for Vendetta style shit, but it's not doing anything, dude. You're just making people go cold. So, like, once again, you're not selling it very well. I just don't think you are. You know what I mean? If I was in Germany, having to go through this shit, I would be mad at you. I would be booing you. Because once again, this isn't even like a protesty photo op thing. There's nothing about this. It's too sharp. I can't touch it and actually feel like it's of a use. So, I don't know. Maybe hit the drawing board on the next one, right? I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, that's, I guess, all I have to say about that for now. The usual updates. If I hear anything, we will come back. We will light it up. But yeah, let's move on to our next story. From the BBC. Saudi Arabia calls for Yemeni factions to attend dialogue in Riyadh. Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry has called for Yemen's southern factions to attend a dialogue in Riyadh after a dramatic turn of events in the south brought Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates into unprecedented direct confrontation. Oh, excuse me. Both Gulf powers have intervened on behalf of Yemen's internationally recognized government in the country's long-running civil war, but a fracturing of the alliance has seen them backing different rival groups on the ground. One of the groups is now pushing to declare the independence of a breakaway state in southern Yemen. On Friday, the UAE-backed force declared that a war had begun, accusing Saudi-backed ground forces of launching an attack alongside airstrikes by the Saudi Air Force. The Saudi ministry urged a comprehensive conference in Riyadh to bring together all southern factions to discuss just solutions to the southern cause. In a statement on social media, Riyadh said the Yemeni government had issued the invitation for talks. Yemen's civil war broke out in 2014 and has plunged the already impoverished country into years of deadly violence and one of the world's worst hunger crises. At the start of the war, the Iran-backed rebel Houthi movement took control of most of northern Yemen, including the capital Sana'a, from the government. The conflict escalated in 2015 when a coalition of Arab states, including Saudi Arabia and the UAE, launched a military campaign to restore the government's rule. A ceasefire has de-escalated the conflict with the Houthis in recent years and led to a freezing of the front lines. But the Saudi-backed ruling coalition, the Presidential Leadership Council, or the PLC, formed in 2022 and designed to unite various anti-Houthi factions, has frayed. At the same time, the vast majority of southern Yemen has been taken by UAE-backed separatists, the Southern Transitional Council, or the STC, which is formally part of the coalition. Let's see. The infighting escalated on December 2nd when the STC, which seeks an independent state in the south, launched a large-scale military offensive in the east of the country and rapidly took control of the territory from government forces. The STC's advances included the oil-rich Hadramaut province that borders Saudi Arabia. The STC said the offensive was necessary to restore stability in the south, but it was denounced as a rebellion by the head of the PLC, Rashad Alimi, who said the STC's separatist push threatened to fraction Yemen and plunge the region into chaos. Tensions have further escalated with airstrikes by a Saudi-led coalition. On Friday, 7 people were killed in an airstrike on an STC military camp in Hadramaut, an official said. That followed airstrikes on Tuesday on the southern part of Mukalla, where the coalition accused the UAE of delivering 2 ships loaded with military equipment to the separatists over the weekend. No casualties were reported, but images of burnt-out vehicles shared on social media after the strikes suggested the strikes directly targeted the UAE hardware. The UAE Foreign Ministry denied the allegations, saying the shipment did not contain weapons and that the vehicles were to be used by the Emirati forces in the country. Let's see. Following Tuesday's strikes, the head of Yemen's Presidential Council said it had canceled a joint defense treaty with the UAE and ordered all its forces to leave the country within 24 hours. The Saudi Foreign Ministry backed the call for the Emirati forces to leave, accusing the UAE of pressuring the STC to launch the offensive in the east, which has reached Saudi Arabia's borders. The ministry warned that Saudi Arabia's national security was a red line. Now, the UAE denied this, but they agreed to withdraw their forces from Yemen. Let's see here. UAE's motivations in supporting the STC in Yemen are seen as helping it secure access to key seaports and challenging an Islamist party that sits in its government. But even if the UAE fully removes its physical presence in Yemen, it won't change anything and does not signify a back down of the STC forces it supports, says Faria al-Muslimi, or we're going to say Muslimi, a researcher at Chatham House. Let's see. In the newly contested areas like Hadramaut, the prospect of a wider conflagration fighting is alarming to families. Years of devastating conflict have ravaged Yemen's economy. The country's roughly 40 million people have endured what aid agencies say is the world's third worst hunger crisis, one that has repeatedly threatened to reach famine levels. In 2021, the UN estimated that 377,000 people had died as a result of the conflict and its impact on hunger and healthcare, of which 259,000 people were said to be children under the age of 5. Anyway, I really just wanted to read a lot of this just to kind of get a better sense of what's going on in the region. And I thought it would be good, even with the overlap, to kind of get some updates along the way. So that was good. I mean, still a lot for me to learn to try to help, I guess, better explain this shit. And I guess have a better, stronger opinion on the fucking matter. But yeah, it seems to be like this is going, to keep continuing, I guess, escalating, even though I know we're saying, hey, let's come to the table, come to Riyadh, we got some comedians, we can play some video games, something, let's chill, let's talk about some shit. I don't know, hopefully some positive steps come from this, and, we can get closer to peace, at least less conflict here, in Yemen, but I don't know. I have no idea. So yeah, I also, don't really know if, is there a less bad side here? Are both sides just hella bad operatives? I don't know, man, I mean, I know we know some things about, Saudi Arabia, of course, sure. But for me, and knowing what the UAE doesn't do, I know I'm a little bit out of my range there, a little bit out of my depth. But yeah, obviously, more for me to learn, and, I love that. So, but yeah, figured we'd come do an update here, and we can go ahead and move on to our next story, our last story for the day, for the night, depending on when you're listening, I suppose, right? But yeah, we gotta, from one strike to another, from ABC News, we got a story, a little bit of a menage a trois here between, the British, the French, and, ISIS in Syria. But yeah, let's go ahead and do our last break, and we'll go ahead and close it out. All right. From ABC News, British and French warplanes strike suspected IS weapons facility in Syria. British and French warplanes carried out an airstrike in central Syria on an underground facility where members of the Islamic State group are suspected to have stored weapons and explosives, the British Defense Ministry said Sunday. The strikes occurred Saturday evening on the structure in the mountains just north of the historic town of Palmyra in in the country's Homs province. The ministry's statement said, Britain and France are part of the U.S.-led coalition that has been fighting IS militants for more than a decade. The ministry said the British military used Typhoon FGR-4 fighter jets, supported by a Voyager refueling tanker, and were joined by French aircraft in the joint strike. the British Air Forces used pave way for guided bombs to target a number of access tunnels down to the facility, the statement said, adding that while a detailed assessment is now underway, initial indications are that the target was engaged successfully. This action shows our UK leadership and determination to stand shoulder to shoulder with our allies to stamp out any resurgence of IS and its violent ideologies in the Middle East, said Defense Secretary John Healey. There was no immediate comment from Syria's government on the strikes. Syria joined the anti-IS coalition late last year, which is, I imagine, a really sicky thing because, like, look, just like a Nigeria or any other, like, nation state, they are saying, hey, we are against this shit. We want to, police this problem. But, like, we also understand that you guys are breathing down our neck about it, and, like, we would like some help, we would like some assistance, sure. So it's like, yeah, okay, we're gonna come, we're gonna blow some shit up for you, brother. Yeah, you don't even have to press X. We're just gonna be here, boom, 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 boom. And so it's like, oh, okay, and I guess this is just the European equivalent. Okay, that's fucked, man. That's wrong. I'm sorry. I don't think I have any French listeners, so whatever. I think we're good. Oi, bro. Some bangers and mash. There you go. It's balanced. Yeah, so we do it all the same on the Western Hemisphere. This is how we help. This is more, it's lethal aid. I love that term. I love that, and we know how to give some good old lethal aid to, countries in need of it. So I guess that is what, Syria's stance is on it, now, that they're just trying to carry on, keep on. They're like, hey, just, keep Israel from, like, blowing us up. Like, that would be cool because they're kind of not helping, but yeah, you guys can hit, IS, fine. Also, this really is, maybe it's not the year of the horse, which I learned, officially I learned that today. Because I was curious. I always, as a 90s baby, I want to know when it's my time, So I'm like, when is 1990s coming back? When is the year of the horse coming back? Because in my head, that's when we're back. Is when, like, the Chinese zodiac is telling me that. You know what I mean? This is a very Chinese moment for me. I don't know what to tell you, and it's just all lining up. Maybe this is the year I ride a horse. I'm also thinking that part, but I don't know. Maybe, and I hate to say it, I'm not celebrating it. I need to have that on the record. Maybe ISIS is coming. Maybe they're trending. I don't know. I don't want to say it. I shan't. But damn, like, I'm hearing recovering a lot of it. I feel like, especially over the last year or so, either ISIS inspired motherfuckers got that shit on their Pinterest board. I guess. What the fuck? Like, I made this flat for, like, ISIS. Like, okay, all right, but. I do get that this is, like, an ideology thing that you can kind of just, I guess, hitch to if you're just like, yeah, I'm unhinged and I want to, like, take my shit to the utmost. And I know that there are people out here who are doing it under this moniker, under this banner. And it's like, okay, I'll just say I'm doing that shit. Like, you know what I mean? I saw that shit on the internet, so that works for me. I don't know, man. I know there's so many ways to get to Rome here. And obviously, terrorism bad is unfortunate to see. But yeah, I don't know. The war on terror, man, it's also a reminder, too, that once again, America has its own way and style of doing it, but so does Europe, either via the UK or, France. I feel like I haven't seen Italy really deliver any lethal aid, or, they're lacking. Germany, a little bit, in there. But anyway, that's it. We're getting in the weeds here as we close out the episode. That's really all I got. That's it. That's the end of the week, or the start of the week. How do you look at Sunday? How do you view it? For me, I like to look at it as the end of things, not the start of things, because I got the old Sunday scaries as I go into Monday. But hey, that's all good. We're going to get that lasagna, huh? But no. No shilling on Sunday, so we don't have to worry about that. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.